Chapter 11. Yakety Yak. What? When we get to St. Anthony's Church for the meeting, there are a bunch of people there, almost all adults. I guess Jima's not the only one who wants to talk about school stuff. By now I'm freaking out about what I'm supposed to say. Jima thinks I'm some kind of model student, but I'm sitting on this secret detention of mine. How am I supposed to tell my story now? Just when everyone starts taking their seats, I decide I've got to come clean first. She always keeps it real with me. Always. It's the least I can do, out of respect and everything. Jima, I say, there's something I need to tell you. Can it wait, Kenneth? We're about to start, she says. I don't think it can, I say. See, something happened today. But then I get cut off. Mrs. Clark from the neighborhood stands up at the front and claps her hands to get everyone's attention. Thank you for being here, she says, but I'm afraid I have an unpleasant announcement to make. Jima's not listening to me anymore. She's looking at Mrs. Clark. What is it now? Jima mumbles. My heart's going fast and furious. Yeah, just like the movies, but not so cool. And no Vin Diesel or pretty girls standing around in short shorts. Just me with a pair of clammy, sweaty palms and an embarrassing case of cotton mouth. I know, weak, right? I just want to bounce. Jima, I whisper, it's not my fault, but today I gotta... But Mrs. Clark keeps talking. We just received word that Principal Dubois will be leaving Union Middle School effective immediately. What? I think. What? Grandma says. Mr. Dubois has been transferred to a different school outside the district, Mrs. Clark says, and then everyone starts talking at once. I don't really hear a lot of it. Mostly I just hear the parts about Mr. Dubois and leaving. And I'm pretty sure they won't be getting around to me anytime soon. No more story to tell. I'm off the hook. Well, at least for now. I know this isn't good news for the school. It's exactly the kind of thing that makes Jima so mad about UMS. Everyone in the room, Jima included, is growling, fussing, and straight flipping out. So I just stay in my seat with my mouth shut and a serious mean mug drawn on my face. But on the inside, it's a little more like this. Chapter 12. Life on the D Squad. It doesn't take long for me to figure out that this is more like half a piece of good news. With Mr. Dubois gone, it gives me a fresh start at school. But I still have that stupid detention to worry about. By the time last period ends on Friday, I'm crazy nervous all over again. Still, I have an idea, and Arthur's going to help. Right after school, Jima shows up to do her tutoring like always. I meet her by the front door and get my half-healthy, half-junk food after school snack. She gives me a banana and then some kid gives me a pack of Oreos because he says he's allergic to the cream stuff in the middle. Weird alien kid, right? I mean, who's allergic to that classic cookie nectar? Jima goes off to the library and I say I'll see her in an hour. So far, so good. I run by the classroom where Arthur and I usually play chess. He's got the board set up and ready to go, just in case. I give him half of my banana and 2 Oreos. Then I head over to the detention room down the hall. When I walk in, I see Kwashi, Ray Ray, and a few other kids. They're all on the D Squad today, just like me. What you doing in here, Grandma's boy, Ray Ray says. You take a wrong turn at the water fountain? I ignore Ray Ray and sit on the other side of the room. Then Mrs. Freeman tells us all to pipe down and get to work. Fine with me. For about 10 minutes, nothing happens. I'm still mad about being here in the first place, but at least Jima doesn't have to know. Except then, I hear it. Someone's whistling out in the hall. Darth Vader's theme from Star Wars. That's the signal Arthur and I set up. When I look over, he's standing there staring at me. He puts 2 fingers up to his eyes, points them back at me, and then looks up the hall toward the library. Code red. Jima's looking for me. Mrs. Freeman, I say? I have to go to the bathroom. She just looks at me like that's the most tired thing she's ever heard. You can wait, she says. I don't think I can, I say. Then I ball up my fists and cram them in my lap like I'm stopping up a leak, a stupid, messy leak. Then I make the most painful-looking wince, like the Hoover Dam is about to burst and flood the valley. I gotta go too, Ray Ray says. Yeah, me too, Quashie R says. Then Mrs. Freeman surprises me. Kenny, you can go, she says. The rest of you, I don't believe. That's probably going to earn me a couple of jabs to the kidneys later, but I can't worry about that right now. I take a hall pass from Mrs. F and bounce. Arthur's eyes look like two big moons when I get to him. I think he's kind of afraid of G-Ma. I told her you were in the bathroom, he whispers. I think she believed me, but whatever. I'm already running up the hall. I've got to make this quick. When I get to the library, G-Ma's got a bunch of kids sitting around a big table. Oh, Kenneth, good, she says. Vanessa here has forgotten her copy of Bud Not Buddy. May we borrow yours, please? More bad news. See, that book's sitting in my backpack, and my backpack's hanging on a chair in the detention room. If I go back in there now, that's it. Mrs. Freeman's going to lock me down tight for the rest of the hour. And I think if Steele was here, this would be no problem. Of course, Steele isn't here. It's just me, and I've got to think quick. I'll be right back, I tell G-Ma. I walk out of the library, but as soon as I hit the hall again, I'm running like Whiplash is coming after me with 10 million volts. The good news is Arthur has a copy of Bud Not Buddy in his locker. The bad news is Mrs. Freeman must think I'm taking the world's longest pee. By the time I deliver that book to G-Ma and sprint back to the detention room, Mrs. F is standing in the door waiting for me. What took you so long, she says. I trusted you, Kenny, and why are you out of breath? Running in the halls isn't allowed. I ought to give you another detention. She lets me slide, though, and I head back to my desk. Maybe I should be relieved, but I'm not. All I can do now is sit here pretending to do my homework and waiting for my heart to stop doing backflips inside my chest. Is this what a life of crime feels like? Because those knuckleheads can have it. For real. Chapter 13. Get ready for Dr. Yeti. On Monday morning, G-Ma walks with me to school again. She wants to meet the new principal, somebody named Dr. Yeti James. I know that doctor doesn't have to mean like stick out your tongue and say, ah, or you only have 14 hours to live. But still, I'm wondering if this new principal is going to be good news, bad news, or something in between. When we get to school, there's a lady out front saying good morning to everybody. She's tall and has this huge smile, and she's even really pretty. I'm talking Beyonce, Alicia Keys, Rihanna pretty, like that. G-Ma walks right up to her and says, Dr. James, I presume? Everyone calls me Dr. Yeti, the lady says, and shakes G-Ma's hand. And whom do I have the pleasure of meeting here? I'm Kenny Wright, I say. And what are you good at, Kenny? She asks me. I'm not really sure how to answer that one. It seems like a weird question, but G-Ma answers it for me. He's an excellent student, she says, and he's quite the chess player, too. Excuse me. Ah, a kindred spirit, Dr. Yeti says. Whatever that means. We'll have to play sometime. You play chess, I ask her. I don't mean it to be rude, but G-Ma shoots me a look that says otherwise. Kenneth, you go inside, she tells me. Dr. Yeti, if you have a moment, I'd like to chat a little. And I think, uh-oh. This is exactly what I was afraid of. G-Ma's been waiting all weekend to fill the new principal's ear. It also puts her one step closer to finding out whatever Mr. Diaw wrote in my file before he left. G-Ma, Dr. Yeti's just getting started, I say. Maybe you should cut her some slack and talk later. Nonsense, Dr. Yeti says. What better way to start than by getting to know the people in the community? G-Ma smiles back at her like Dr. Yeti just won the Miss Black USA contest or invented electricity or something. So I slide on out of there, but even while I'm walking away, I can hear G-Ma starting to ask questions. In other words, this whole new principal thing is starting off exactly the way I was afraid it might. Sometimes even the beautiful ones bring you the most heartache and trouble. I can feel it in my big toe. It tingles sometimes when trouble is about to pop off, and it's tingling.